Okay, so onto our actual teams now, or what they're looking like at the moment for um, game week 18. Obviously, we are 6 days away from the deadline. There's FA Cup. There'll likely be more postponements, whatever else. But at the moment, this is what our teams are looking like. Adam, for our podcast listeners, could you run through your team, your
Yeah,
actual team?
yeah. Which one shall I go for?
It's the one
Right.
where you've got De Gea in goals.
Okay. So we will go with. So I've got De Gea in goal, Tierney, Sice, and Cancelo. So I've got three defenders who've got quite big upside, which I quite like. De Bruyne, Fernandez, Son, Sterling, and Saka, and then Lacazette and Wilson up front. I've had to really go cheap on the bench, so
Yeah.
I've got Ampadu, Mitchell, and Davis, who all should possibly could get minutes. And I think I can get Sanchez as my reserve goalkeeper there, but yeah, that could be minus points.
You,
So
you're very much banking their mind on all your 11 players playing. We kind of touched on this earlier, which
which we
is
said, yeah, I
a
think
bit risky, but
it's safer. In which case, it's the Rashford team that I did earlier
yeah.
is safer in that respect. Um, but we'll see nearer the time. The good thing is the deadline's on the Tuesday. All the matches are done by the Thursday.
Yeah,
So I think if there are problems and issues,
agree.
whilst it's not 100%, it's not a really dragged out game week where stuff's gonna, where loads of issues are going to come up. So I think the FA Cup is the big one, and any news or any COVID issues that come out off the back of that.
I also think that it's quite easy to pick a very good free hit team this week. I don't think you have to overthink it. Like you've mentioned already, maybe not not even spending all the funds. It's a bit strange, and I can't remember ever having the kind of luxury of picking a free hit team and it being relatively easy. And I think you've got like Saka for me here is the key. He is
Yeah,
actually
yeah, agreed.
one of the best options this week. He's in the top 5 or 6 options. Normally, you'd be looking to squeeze in a fifth mid like Son and Rashford, and that's when it gets really, really difficult. But Saka, on his own merit, it probably unlocks that door, I think, of making it quite easy to pick a really good team this week.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So Saka will be coming up against Mitchell potentially, and Mitchell's been quite good defensively, so that could be an interesting battle. But then you've got Tierney the other side who'll be coming up attacking against Ward possibly. So you know, if it's not working, the good thing with having Tierney and Saka is you've got both sides covered there,
Yeah,
and hopefully one of them will be feeding Lacazette.
agree. So onto my team. So I've gone for Darlow in goals. I'm not convinced. I could have De Gea. I can't have Leno because I want a triple up of Arsenal later on. But our team is very, very similar indeed. I'll have to have a 4 million.
Do
I've
you,
left.
so you said we're going Darlow in goal. Do you
Yeah,
think that the Newcastle clean sheet, that's a banker?
I don't think it's a banker, but I think that it's fairly likely. If I can stretch to De Gea, I might, but I've got Maguire, and I don't like a double up on
Mm,
any team, so I'm really not keen on a double up, which is why I've gone for Darlow. So I've kind of spread the risk. Right? So I've got Darlow. I've then got Tierney, Maguire, and Diaz. All look really good picks this week. I could maybe afford De Gea, but it only takes the one mistake, the one goal to wipe out the clean sheets, and it's a bit of a killer. So that's that. Like, I think that's why at the moment I've gone for Darlow. In midfield, then I've gone for the normal five we've talked about: Sterling, De Bruyne, Fernandez, Son, and Saka. So I'm going for Son ahead of Rashford. I just think that again is spreading the risk a little bit in terms of Burnley can be quite stubborn, and if Man United blank or only score one goal and you've got two attackers, it's a bit of a killer. Where
mm.
if Son has proven time and time and time and time again that he's just got a knack for scoring a goal. His finishing, I know you mentioned it right at the start of the season, one of our earliest pods. Son is such an elite finisher. He never seems to. I can't remember seeing him miss a one-on-one all season, and he's had a few of them. He just
He
seems to
had
score
that
them
one
all.
where Schmeichel made an incredible save,
Right.
but that was because it was an incredible save for me, more than a bad miss. But you're absolutely right. When he went through against Alisson, and Alisson for me is the best one-on-one stop. The amount of times he gets Liverpool out,
He does.
he's so good in those situations. But you never thought Son would miss. He's just like he's such, and literally scored 4 identical goals with Southampton. So he had when we played them Spurs at Villa Park last season, and it literally went through in the last minute, and you just knew he was going to score. There wasn't even a question,
That's right.
It was, So he's brilliant. And if you look at his career XG as well, he's always well above his. I think at the start of the season he was about 40% up on his Premier League XG anyway, but he'll be even more on that this season because he's massive. Technically, he's massively overperformed, but I just think the quality of chances that Spurs gets and that Kane sets up for them, I think Kane does play a big part in it because he puts a lot on the plate for Son, and he knows that. The ball he put in for against Leeds, absolute brilliant pass, wasn't it? And I think Son will continue. I think he's got 20 goals in him this season.
Just a few comments then in the chat. So we've had a comment we've forgotten about Bellerin, not a bad shout. Russell Baker also says Douglas at 3.8 if you think you only need 2 subs, looking for extra friends. So my 3 subs may all play or may not. They're probably on for 1 point, is right, but I've got Mitchell, Kilman and Brewster on my bench, who may or may not.
How much is Kilman?
4.1.
Okay, so he could be quite a good one. Right. Yeah. Is he started the last few? No, he didn't start versus.
I don't think he started the last one, but he started the one before that. But it's either him or or kind of have to sacrifice then. So
I think you can get a couple of 4.3s. So there's I think Yedlin should start for Newcastle. You've got Ampadu for Sheffield United. And like I said, they could grind out a 1-0. They haven't had a clean sheet all season. And I think banking on Newcastle is a big ask. I think Wilson's fine for a risk, but I think, like I said, I think Sheffield United will be up for this. I think, is it the first? I think it's a big game for them. So, but that said, there's not a cat in hell's chance I'm putting McGoldrick or anybody in my free hit. I'm not banking on them. Well, I know it's a free hit, but yeah, exactly.
I think the thing that excites me, and I could have mentioned it earlier, but just to reiterate the point, I think there's a lot or a fair few very, very low owned players that have the potential to do very well, and this is why I'm quite excited. So I've got the key kind of 3 or 4 players of De Bruyne, Fernandes, Son, and Diaz, maybe, right? So they're the ones that everyone's going to have, or a slight variant of those. But I think having Sterling, Saka, Lacazette, Wilson, Tierney, even Maguire, I think they've all got the potential to do something. And even if 2 or 3 of those 6 players do something and do well, you're looking at a green arrow, and it's not like they're playing teams that are in good form defensively, right? So they're playing against teams like Palace and Sheffield United. So that's why I think just using it this week is far better than using it any other week. Just a couple of questions in the chat. Harry, is Balbuena no longer a starter? So I think he was injured a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he? But he didn't start last weekend. I personally wouldn't look to risk him because West Ham have they obviously
back-to-back clean sheets. Southampton and Everton,
exactly, and they're both good attacking teams with Ings and Calvert-Lewin and whatever else. So
I wouldn't risk. I think he's worth a transfer out personally.
Yeah. Josh Longworth asks Zaha getting no love. I think Zaha is a really good option, but I think there are some superb midfield options. If he was a striker, same for Gundogan, right? If Gundogan was classed as a defender or a striker, I'd play him this week. But
Gundogan was a defender. He'd be 100% owned, wouldn't he?
He would. But if you look at midfield options, there's 6 real standout options in Sterling, De Bruyne, Bruno, Son, Saka, and Rashford. There's no way you're taking any of those out for Zaha, I would say. But especially with Arsenal have tightened right up at the back. But that's the reason why.
I wouldn't be surprised in wiping out the Arsenal clean sheet.
No, I agree.
He tends to do quite well on the counter attack. So, yeah, I think he's an option, and he could do well, but I don't think the ceiling is as high for Zaha as it is for the other players that you've mentioned.
Yep, agree. And just one final question while we're off. Bohan, thoughts on Cavani as a free hit option? Adam, would you pick Cavani at all?
The reason I wouldn't is because I've got Lacazette, and I think Lacazette is a better option than Cavani. The other thing as well is that there's been a few occasions where Cavani, it might be one occasion where he was hooked off at half time when things weren't going their way, and I think there's always that risk. I think
you might even start, right?
Well, there is, yeah, of course, as well, because even if he's so. I think there's too much risk with Cavani, I think, and I think there's better alternatives. I think Lacazette is a better alternative for the same price.